Alt 105.7, I'm Steve Richards with the Struts on the tour bus here.
Hello.
How are you guys?
We're good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Good. The tour kicked off, what, a week ago in the Motor City. How's it been going? So you're out all fall, you're touring the States through December. Yeah. How's it going so far? How's it feeling?
It feels like we've been out a lot longer than a week, which is weird. It's kind of daunting actually, but it's good.
We've been going, it feels like everything's been going from strength to strength. Like the set that we're doing involves a lot of new songs, and seeing the audience participate in these new tracks as well is like really inspiring. But they keep getting louder and louder and bigger, and you know, last night in Boston was insane.
So a great reaction to the new stuff so far.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of the new stuff, the new album, Young and Dangerous, coming out October 26th. Compare this, there it is. Compare this album to the first. This is the sophomore album to the first album.
Yeah, I love that word. The most important thing that we set out to do was create a collection of material which was going to be on par with the first, and we were very conscious of keeping true to our sound and sort of not going too far away from what people initially have kind of really fallen in love with. That being said, we wanted to try a couple of new things out. There's definitely some wild cards on there which are going to make current fans at least be like, ooh, okay, this is a little bit different. But for the most part, it's everything that you would love from a typical Struts record, and honestly, it's better than the first, it's bigger than the first, and I think everyone's going to hear that.
Did you feel a lot of pressure with this sophomore album?
Yeah.
After this huge success, I mean, it's been a blur for you guys since 2016, just 2 years ago, really. I mean, all the touring, you guys have been constantly on the road.
I think that contributed to the pressure as well.
Yeah.
Because I think we knew that this album had to be made while we were still touring that first record in the USA. So that was, we would fit it in between our touring schedule, and then, which is why the album's actually been recorded all over the globe. Because we kind of did it wherever we had days off after touring, wherever we were, whether it was the UK or all over the USA.
But we only put ourselves under that pressure because of the ambition. We want to grow, we want to get bigger, and you know, we could have just been like, okay, let's just do something and record it within 2 to 3 months, but that's not us, especially now. And the main difference, I would say, on a personal level from the first, this one, was the amount of times that we went back and tweaked the songs and rewrote them and made them better and was trying to make everything the best it was. And honestly, I can say that when it comes to each and every one of these songs, not one stone was left unturned. It was like every avenue that could have been experimented with or tweaked to make better, we did absolutely everything, and honestly, blood, sweat and tears in this whole entire album.
How hard was it to write and record while you were on the road?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Because for the first, well, firstly, we don't really write when we're on the road. The schedule is just too much. There's so much to do. There's sort of like 2 hours in the day typically that we're not really doing much, and you know, we like to use that to either feed ourselves or wash and, you know, call home and whatnot. And honestly, with me on the days off, it's very important that I don't spend the whole day singing and whatnot. So like Jed said, all of the time that we had off in between doing these sort of short bursts of tours were spent in the studio and were spent writing. Some of it was really enjoyable. Some of it was very mentally exhausting. And you know, honestly, let's just put it this way: we're not in a rush to make a third one anytime soon. You know, we're just going to enjoy getting the material out there and playing live for a while.
And let this one sit for a while.
Yeah.
Derby, England is where you're from.
It's where the band's from.
Yeah. How did you guys get together? And what is Derby, England like?
Adam can answer that one. It's Adam's hometown.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's a small city.
Yeah.
In the middle, like the furthest away from the ocean in the whole of the UK. So it's all right. Rolls Royce is based there. That's about it. But no, we everyone's from everywhere else, but we decided to move to Derby because one, we could rehearse at my dad's house, and two, it's the centre of England, so we could, whenever we used to gig, we'd get in the van and then could drive back to Derby the same night without having to get a hotel. So yeah, we lived there for a good 3 years. It's good fun, but I think it's nice that we don't live together anymore.
What's the one thing you miss about the UK?
The UK?
Being here so much in the last 2 years.
I don't know. I think we all have different answers. It's a good cup of tea as soon as I go home.
Good cup of tea?
I'd say it's, honestly, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's just
beer.
Everything about it. Because, honestly, being here is absolutely fantastic and it's the opportunity of a lifetime, but home is home. You can't beat that. And every time we touch down in London, you just feel kind of like spiritually whole again.
Yeah.
You can't really describe it. And coming home and being with your family, your loved ones, your friends, like not being too far away, that's what you miss. I think we all miss existing in the UK a little more.
Opportunity of a lifetime. You guys have opened for incredible artists. This summer I had a chance to see you at Fenway Park in Boston with the Foo Fighters. Great show.
Thank you.
Foo Fighters, Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses. You were handpicked for Motley Crue's final tour. What has that experience been like?
They've all been really big learning experiences and also very inspiring. It's one thing to have sort of like aspirations as a group, a young group, when you're playing clubs and things like that, but once you get on a giant tour like we did with the Foos, for example, and you're seeing these guys playing their heart and souls out every night to huge amounts of people, it's like, that's where we want to be. And again, some of that drive was really put into this second album as well, and the experiences, like when we were doing the Stones, I would never have gone to Lucca in Italy, but I found it to be one of the most beautiful places that I've been in years. So, and it's also great as well because you get to see the bands, and it's great, especially like the Stones. We've seen Guns N' Roses, and we've watched the Killers, and we've watched the Foo Fighters more times than I can count, and actually getting up and doing Under Pressure.
Yes.
Every night. I worked out. I pretty much did a whole entire Foo Fighters set. With you accumulate the amount of time I was up on stage with them.
How did that come about? Doing Under Pressure. Did Grohl come to you and go, "Hey, I want you to do Under Pressure with me"?
No. So I first met Taylor back in Napa. Me and Ads were asked to do a track with him with his covers band Chevy Metal, and of course, Taylor's a huge Queen fan, as am I, and so we just, love riffing about Queen and music just in general. So we get on the tour, and Taylor was like, we got to do some Queen or something. He said it a couple of times, and I was like, when are we going to do this? And he was like, well, Under Pressure, if you're there, side of stage, we'll see what happens. I was like, what do you mean we'll see what happens? He's like, we'll see what happens. So I'm like, okay. So I get all dressed up, and I'm stood there side of stage, and he's like, we're going to bring out Lucas, come on. He calls me Lucas for some weird reason, I don't know why. And get up and did it, and walked off stage, and the time between the Foo Fighters encore, they kind of all gather backstage and sort of like wait there for a few minutes. Anyway, we were walking past because we were on the way out, and Dave Rhodes comes up to me and goes, we got to do that every night now. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
You mentioned Queen being a huge influence for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like when you bought those two albums at that record shop?
It was like, it's just, everyone has it, everybody has it, and I can't really put it in words. All I can do is describe the scenario. It's like, it's when you're in your early mid-teens, and you suddenly open this door, this musical door that opens up and just completely expands your horizons and opens up your mind. And it was like coming home. It was very strange. It was almost like I was a Queen fanatic in a past life, and I'd suddenly like rekindled this love of mine that I'd experienced before, and just kind of really showed me that there was rock music out there which was playful, flamboyant, very well put together, theatrical, but in a way that I loved. And honestly, it wasn't just about Queen. At that time, I was obsessed with Zeppelin. A little bit later on, like the Stones, and obviously the Beatles and everyone like that. But there was that time period. I think for anyone at that age, is just you just soak everything up like a sponge, and it's truly special. That's how I describe it.
Did you have that one album that did that for you? Or band?
Yeah, mine was. I was about 13 when Hot Fuss by the Killers came out, and that was the one where my dad played a little bit of guitar and bass, and I heard the first song and I was like, I feel like I could work. I played other instruments as a kid. I feel like I can work this out, and just figured it out by ear.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I can probably play guitar now. So that was the one for me.
That was the one for
really
you?
got me into music.
How about you? The one album, first album you bought?
Arctic Monkeys. I can't even say the name of it. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. That was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Just blew my mind.
How about you?
I think the one that like blew my mind was when I got Definitely Maybe by Oasis. Because up until that point I only listened to like Green Day, but that was like my first album. When I heard that album, Definitely Maybe, I was like, oh wow, this is the kind of sound I've had in my head, like what I want a band to sound like for so long. And then I was actually hearing it, and like it's just, and then I just went in and listened to everything by them, all their influences.
Talking to the Struts before their show here at the Upstate Concert Hall, second time you played at this venue. You're doing a lot of club shows now. Obviously this summer you were out at big venues, outdoor venues. Do you prefer one or the other? Or you just like to play?
It's quite funny. People ask me that a lot, and truth be told, I just prefer our own crowds, full stop, no matter what size it is. Don't get me wrong, I love doing the festivals. We loved opening up for the Foos, but it's a very different show. It's like, if you're doing those kind of things, you've got to get up and you have to capitalise on the opportunity. I know it sounds very shrewd, but that's really one of the main goals, along with enjoying yourself. So there's no time for any self-indulgence in that. It's like hit 'em where it hurts straight away, and play a very short, concise set as hard as you can, make the most impact, make the most noise, get them up on their feet. It's a massive challenge, which is why I think Dave said the lovely words that he did coming off that tour.
Yeah.
Because we did work that audience as hard as we could. Going to our own shows, there's like this sense of even if like we kind of like fluff up a little bit, the crowd are like still completely on our side, and playing new material, for instance, is a lot more digestible. We don't feel so much as under pressure as we would supporting or opening a festival. But look, bigger crowds for me the better.
Yeah.
I do prefer playing in front of 2,000 Struts fans on a personal level, as the experience goes, to opening up for the Stones for 75,000.
Right, where you're trying to win over new fans.
Yeah, they're both beautiful in their own right, but if I was have to choose personally.
There was a fan last night in Boston that came up after the show, and she was like serious. She's like, it breaks my heart that I had to see that show in a small club.
Yeah.
She's like that. She was like, that was built for an arena.
Yeah.
And we're like, trust me, we're playing like we're in an arena. It's just we're 20 foot from the back wall.
They are the Struts. New album, Young and Dangerous, is coming out October 26th. Get it.
Thank you, mate.
I'm Steve Richards with the Struts on Alt 105.7, Albany's new alternative.